Well, hello, and welcome to After the Show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. And did you love Mary Liz's episode? Oh my gosh. I always listen back to the episode so I could film after the show. And I was listening to hers yesterday on a walk. And the part about pricing, I was like, the stuff Mary Liz is talking about here, this alone can make my listeners so much more successful, profitable, more money, less stress. Like I just felt like she had some really great pricing strategies and pricing tips. So if you have not listened to her episode, be sure to go back, listen to the full thing because she is a retail pro. That's for sure. She's got a lot of experience and shared such great wisdom on that episode. But where I wanted to go a little bit deeper is Mary Liz is doing a lot of events and is very successful with her events. A lot of great strategies there. And when I asked her, to share some of those strategies, she said, well, the first thing to a good event is having people there. You have to market the event. You have to fill the event. And I am just such a believer that if you want Mindshare and wallet share, you need screen share. And I've said that before on the show. You're going to hear me say it more and more. I heard a speaker say that. I don't know exactly who said it at the National Retail Federation, but I was just like, amen. It's so true. We need that mind share. We need that attention. We need to capture the attention of our consumers. And then the wallet share is getting them to act, is getting them to come to our events or purchase, whether that's online or in the store. Because, and really it starts with the screen share. Most often it starts with our phones, our computers, wherever we are scrolling. And so what I wanted to talk about on After the Show, because here we just go a little bit deeper. It's just kind of Crystal's quick thoughts on this week's episode is I wanted to share some of the content that I'm going to be talking about at Evolve. Right now, as I'm filming this, we're 11 days out from Evolve, our last in-person conference. And oh my gosh, I am not kidding when I say the content for this year's conference that I'm rolling out. It's some of the best content I think I've ever created in like 15 years of being a speaker. So I'm really excited to give these talks. And so I just, it's all kind of coming together with the Evolve content, with some of these stats that I'm pulling in, with getting that wallet share, getting the mind share. You have to capture screen share. And the reality is that in the United States, smartphone users touch their phone an average of 2,617 times a day. How crazy is that? We touch our phone over 2,000 times a day. Like, how do we have time to touch our phone that many times? It's so wild to me. But again, that's why I say it starts with the screen share. And in 2024, last year, Americans spent an average of 4 hours and 30 minutes on their phones daily. 4 hours and 30 minutes daily on their phones. That's a 52% increase from 2022. So I've often shared those kinds of stats. A couple of years ago, I shared these stats at Evolve. And I recently did some research as I was preparing for this year's Evolve. And I'm like, where are we at now? Like, I'm sure that the screen share has increased. It's increased 52% from just 2 years, you guys. So now more than ever, if you want mind share and wallet share, starts with screen share. Like, this is where we've got to be spending our time. And this is what will help you fill those events and just all aspects of your store, right? Now, just so you know, Gen Z, they're at an average of 7 hours a day. How are we finding the time to scroll? Oh my gosh, 7 hours a day. But the thing is that a lot of people are on their mobile devices, and this is how they're watching TV shows. This is how they're watching live streams. I mean, at the end of the day, when you start thinking about it, if you're watching, a couple of shows on your phone, that time can start to add up. But 7 hours for Gen Z. So then I want to just share some additional stats for you that I'll also be sharing at Evolve next week. The average daily social media usage by generation. So let's take a look at how many hours a day each generation spends on social media, because we want to capture the screen share, right? So we need to really know who our perfect customers are and who we're talking to. And I'm going to tell you that majority of people, like the population, are on social media. We'll talk about what platforms they're on in this episode too. But let's just see how much time they're spending first. So for the Gen Alpha, this is going to be under 13 years old. They are spending 2.2 hours, just a little bit over 2 hours a day on social media. Gen Z is going to take the cake for on social media the longest. Gen Z is going to be your 13 to 25-year-old. These people so matter. You want their mind share. You want their wallet share. This is also the future of your store, right? Like as they are growing up, we want to continue to connect with them. So they're at over 4 hours and a day on social media. And by the way, next week's after the show, I'm going to talk about how we can capture the attention of Gen Z and really build that client base. So if you're trying to build out your younger audience, definitely tune into next week's after the show because I'll give you 5 really good tips on how to do that and capture their attention. Okay, millennials, they're going to be 26 to 41. They're spending just over 2 hours. They're spending almost the same time that the Gen Alpha is spending, just a little over 2 hours on social media a day. Gen X, they're 42 to 57 years old. They're spending just under 2 hours a day on social media. This is daily usage. All right. So crazy. Boomers, 58 to 76 are spending an hour and a half on social media a day. And the silent generation, 77 plus, spends just under 1 hour on social media a day. They are not really our big social media users. So you've got Gen X who's spending over 4 hours, and we've got the silent generation spending under 1. So if you are trying to target that Gen X, then you are absolutely going to want to be targeting them through social media to get that wallet share. So then I wanted to just share some stats as far as where these generations are spending their time on social media, because this is going to help guide you to know, if I really want to capture screen share, then what platforms do I need to be spending time on and really have a strategy for, if that makes sense for your business. So our Gen Alpha, that's our youngest, 13 and under, their number 1 platform is YouTube. Their number 2 platform is TikTok, and number 3 is Snapchat. So I haven't historically done much with Snapchat. I've used the filters and done some fun stuff just personally. They have the best filters, but I can't speak too much to Snapchat from a business perspective, but you've certainly heard me talk about TikTok on the show. I'm a big believer on TikTok. I think retailers are under leveraging this platform. I think we're only going to see it continue to grow. And I've been talking more about YouTube as well. In fact, if you are a member of ours, I just brought in a YouTube expert to speak to our members. So that was just so good. Like he was so motivating and gave us really good ideas on how to leverage YouTube. Even if you're a local business, you should be considering YouTube, especially depending on where your audience is. So Gen Z, they're at our 13 to 25-year-olds. Their number 1 platform is TikTok, followed by Instagram, followed by Snapchat. I was actually sort of surprised to not see YouTube on this list for them. But definitely was not surprised that TikTok was number 1. Millennials, I fall in this age group. YouTube, number 1. Facebook, number 2. Instagram, number 3. I can so say that like my YouTube usage is growing every week. I find myself going to YouTube more and more and more instead of watching TV shows. On my walks, watching podcasts, like actually on the TV, I'm watching podcasts instead of listening to them on walks. Like I'll listen to them as well, but I'm now watching them on YouTube. And that's one of the reasons we film this show for YouTube as well. You can watch us there. I think we're going to definitely see a rise there. So YouTube, number 1, Facebook was number 2. So this is the first time we see Facebook in the top 3. The millennials are still using Facebook. I'm very curious what's going to happen over the next year because I do feel like Facebook's changing so much that I'm using it less and less and less. I don't know about you, but I'm just not really liking what they're doing with the feed. They're changing it to be too much like TikTok. And I use TikTok for that kind of feed. I want my friends and businesses I follow on Facebook, and they're taking that away from us. They're giving us algorithm content versus our friends and family and businesses we like. So my prediction is that Facebook usage is actually going to go down over the next year. Does not mean it's not a good place for you to market, but I got to tell you, it's tougher. And I've been hearing from a lot of businesses that are really frustrated with Facebook. And then Instagram was number 3 there. I'll just tell you from my own personal, I am a millennial. Obviously, this is just, I'm one person, but my number 1 is TikTok. Number 2 is Instagram. Number 3 is YouTube. Then we got Gen X. They are 42 to 57. Their number 1 is YouTube. Number 2 is Facebook. And number 3 is Instagram. So millennials and Gen X are both at that number 1 YouTube, number 2 Facebook, number 3 Instagram. And then we have our boomers, 58 to 76. Their number 1 is YouTube. Number 2 is Facebook. Number 3 is Pinterest. First time we see Pinterest enter. If you are trying to connect with a boomer, especially if you are in the industries of like DIY, wedding, floral, home decor, furniture, like anything home related, fashion, trends, travel, those are really strong categories on Pinterest. Mom and baby and kid and toys is pretty strong on Pinterest too. But those boomers, their kids are a little bit older. So you might not see a lot of that type of content that they're looking at. I feel like the boomers are more so looking at the home content, the travel content, inspirational magazine quality type stuff. But were you surprised to see that YouTube was number 1 for boomers versus Facebook? I was actually a little surprised. I know that more and more people are watching YouTube. My dad watches a lot of YouTube now. He's a boomer, and I was so surprised by that. He's not on Facebook at all, doesn't even have an account. I think that's why I'm like doubling down. I'm going to talk more about YouTube at Evolve. It's just, and to our members too, like it's just so important. And then finally, we have the silent generation, 77 plus. We know that they're not really on social media much to begin with, but their number 1 platform is Facebook. Number 2 is YouTube. And number 3 is Pinterest. So depending on where your audience is there an audience group that you're really trying to capture the attention of more, get in front of more, and get that screen share so you can get the mind share and the wallet share, you might change up your strategy a little bit. You might focus on a different platform. Instagram was not number 1 on any of these. And I would say that I would bet that our retailers spend most of their time marketing on Instagram. Yet it is not in the number 1. Now it is number 2 for Gen Z and number 3 for millennials and Gen X. But are you spending your time on the right platforms? Are you missing opportunities? Are you missing screen share and mind share and wallet share on other platforms? There's a solid chance you are. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper there because we need that screen share to capture the attention, to get people to come to our events in the first place. And then when they're in our events, they are ideally taking the pictures, posting the content, being your viral sales soldier. So that's where I wanted to go a little bit deeper. Like I said, in next week's After the Show, I'll give you 5 tips on how to capture the attention of Gen Z, because I do think that a lot of our retailers who listen to the show should be thinking about, how am I capturing the attention of Gen Z? And my guest on next week's episode mentions that, trying to get to the younger audience. And I think a lot of us are thinking that way too, or should be. So I'll give you some fun tips on that episode. Be on the lookout for that. But remember that I'm rooting for your success. And if you are coming to Evolve, then buckle up, Buttercup, because I got some good content for you. We have a total of 20 speakers. I can't wait to see you in person. Please come say hi. Give me a hug. Let's take a photo. Tell me you listen to this show, because that's some of the most favorite things I hear. I love when people listen to the show and they tell me. So tell me. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. And I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Rooted in Retail podcast. It means the world to me to have you here. If you find value in this show and you listen on an iPhone, if you could leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be amazing. And if you watch YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, we film this. And so if you rather watch the show, you can also do that over on YouTube. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.